trees will rock the breeze and know the moon shine bright. Now here I am. Oh no. Okay. So, how many people are ready for some good news? Yay. What is it that you find inspiring and hopeful in today's world? I've been thinking about that question for a long time. About 3 years ago, I was feeling so discouraged and negative every time I watched or listened to the news. And I wondered, is this what the world is all about? He led me on a journey. I was at a dinner party one night, and I asked people, so where would you go to get away from this negativity and chaos? I was expecting to hear about some wonderful island somewhere that I could get away to. And instead, a man looked at me and simply pointed to his heart, reminding me of where I needed to be be a peaceful, centered, balanced way of life. Shortly after that, I was in meditation, and I heard the words, "Love is the new currency." And I thought, wow, that was so beautiful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I was really curious about what people were finding meaningful and helpful in their lives. And I started talking to people and asking them what they were doing and what they were doing to make a difference. And I met some of the most amazing people, and it was in everyday life. I was on the plane one time and met someone. I read in the paper about a young boy who climbs mountains to help his best friend. I met people at a tiki bar, and all different people. And what was amazing is that there's so many people, everyday people, that are doing what they can to make a difference. And realizing that it's not governments and corporations that are going to be rescuing us or taking care of us. It's going to be each of us that really matter and will make a difference in each other's lives. And that's what I found to be so hopeful. That is what has led me on this incredible journey to discover what's hopeful. And I'd like to share with you some of the people that I met or talked to. And it was interesting because even people that I'd known for a very long time, like for years, I didn't even know stories about things that they were doing. And that was really helpful to me as well. But I'd like to invite the people whose stories are in the book to come up on stage with me, and I'd like to introduce you to everyone, to just share a little bit about your story. So if Matt and Kylie come up, and Janet, and Cookie, Ridley, don't hide back over there. Pat, you're hidden way back over there. That's great. So this is what I find inspiring in today's day and age. It's just everyday people doing whatever they can, giving from their hearts. And we all know that giving in any form makes us feel rich. I have felt so much more abundant in my life since I began this journey. It has been such a joy. And I want to share with you some of these stories and what they've done to make a difference. And I'm going to introduce Cookie. Don't you love the name Cookie? Doesn't it remind you of kids? So Cookie has always loved kids. She's always loved working with kids. And she was so excited when she was pregnant the first time, and really looking forward to that pregnancy. And Cookie lost her baby Hope just a few days after she was born. And it was so sad, but it was also distressing that they told her that she would never have another child again. And Cookie spoke to God and said, God, please, if you let me have another child, I will do whatever I can to help children. And 2 years later, Cookie has a baby boy, which she's raised. And she kept her promise to God. And what she did was she became a foster mother. And Cookie has taken on over 100 children and their teenage moms that she has been a mom to and taken care of. It's been so inspiring story. And one little boy who had lived with Cookie for a few years came back a few years later. He really wanted to see his rainbow mom. So just want to acknowledge Cookie for what she's done to make a difference in the lives of so many people. Thank you. And this young man, Matt, he's gained quite a reputation for himself at a very young age, correct? And you can correct me if I have any figures wrong or information. But Matt was the youngest boy at 10 years old to summit Mount Aconcagua in Argentina and set a record. He has just been named National Geographic's youngest adventurer of the year. Wow. And yes, that's amazing. And he and his dad set a world record for the 50 highest peaks, which is called the summit, what is that called? High points. For the high points, and they did that a year ago in the summertime. So he set amazing records. And I had read about Matt and met him at a climbing wall. And one of the things that really touched me so much about Matt was his commitment to his best friend, Ian, who was 9 years old at the time. And Matt's friend, Ian, has pulmonary arterial hypertension. And to help raise money and awareness for his best friend's illness, Matt set up a goal of climbing 14 14ers in 14 days. Has anyone here climbed a 14er? Do you know how difficult it is to climb one? I mean, I did one years ago. But Matt and his dad and Ian's dad climbed 14 14ers in 8 days, which was just an amazing record. And he raised $20,000 for his best friend. And what I found so amazing about Matt was his humility and also his commitment to make a difference to his friend. That was so beautiful. And one of the questions I asked Matt at the very end of our interview was, if you had one wish and could have anything you wanted in the world, what would it be? Do you remember your answer to that, Matt?
I thought, didn't I say it was like a difficult question? I forgot.
Matt said, and I quote him, he said, I would cure everyone of PAH, pulmonary arterial hypertension. That's a pretty big wish for someone so young, and it's really admiring him. And Kylie is Matt's twin sister, and she also has made a commitment to helping, and they traveled together. And one of the things that Kylie was doing, Kylie's hearing impaired, and she chose to collect hearing aids to help children. Are you still working on that project, Kylie?
Well, they gave me an option to go to Africa and help little kids like learn sign language. But the problem was I know sign language, so I couldn't really do that. But yeah, that's great.
One of the things that's really cool, Matt and Kylie are twins, and when they had a birthday, instead of asking for money or presents, actually instead of asking for presents I should say, they asked for money. And they took that money to donate. They went to Tanzania and went to an orphanage, and they bought books and clothing and shoes for the orphans of Tanzania. I think that's really remarkable. Thank you, and thank you so much for coming. So what would you do if you received this letter? This is the toughest letter I've ever written. I need your kidney. That was the letter that Janet received from her sister. And her sister Susan had written a letter to Janet and to her brother. And the amazing part of it for Janet was that she was really hoping that she would be the one that would be the match for her sister. It was really remarkable. So Janet went through with the surgery and took a long period of recovery time. What was so amazing is that Susan just celebrated her 25-year organ donor anniversary. This is really 30 years now, 30-year anniversary, which is so remarkable. Wow, that's awesome. And Janet was so thrilled to be able to make a difference in not only her sister's life, but in the lives of all the people that her sister has helped in all that time. It's so beautiful. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say that if you've ever been on the giving side, it's not so much about giving as what you get back from it. Because my sister's made a tremendous difference in many people's lives, including mine.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And there's a message in us.
Oh, there's a bumper sticker that says, don't bury your kidneys with I'm sorry, I'm not going to say it right.
That's okay. Heaven knows that heaven doesn't need them, don't need them now, or something like that. It's beautiful. It's good. Good. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. And Ridley Hutchinson is a wonderful massage therapist. I've been seeing Ridley for a long time, and when I asked Ridley if he knew anything, and he had any stories that he wanted to share of what was making a difference, he couldn't think of a single thing. And Ridley makes a difference every day in people's lives. But the story that I heard later was about his little boy. He had a 4-year-old boy named Ekta. And Ekta, on his 4th birthday, was given a diagnosis of leukemia. And for 7 long years, Ridley spent a good part of that time in the hospital. And he received tremendous care and love from people at Ronald McDonald House. And he always remembered that. He said when he walked in, he felt like he had a ton of bricks on his shoulders. It was a really difficult time for him. And Ekta passed away at the age of 11. And Ridley has been giving back in a beautiful way for the last 6 or 7 years. The last 7 years, Ridley has been going every single Tuesday to the Ronald McDonald House in Denver, where he gives free massages to distressed patients, parents, and anyone in need. And he's been doing that on his own for 7 years. Amazing. Thank you. Ramona, would you like to come here, please? I'm so glad you arrived on time. Yeah, of course. Thank you. Yes, come here. I'm so glad you made it. Thank you very much. So Pat Hall was a bit of a brawler when he was a teenager, until he joined the Marines. Or maybe he was still a brawler then, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
but Pat became a Marine corporal. Right? And one of the things that he was so committed to, he's actually very committed to peace these days, to making a difference to the veterans that have suffered so much during the war, during these times. And Pat now works for the Veteran Affairs, and he spends extra hours and extra time and whatever to help the veterans to get the best care that they can, to get extra, anything that he can find. He actually saved one man's house. He was going to lose his house, and Pat, by research, found out that he could do something that could make a difference. And Pat and his family also volunteer, his wife Katie back there as well. They volunteer at the Denver wheelchair races on their own time, and they also volunteer in Winter Park, where they have the snow, what is it called?
Yeah, sure. Basically what the Winter Sports Clinic is they bring veterans that are mostly wheelchair bound. And if you're wheelchair bound and you're, any person is wheelchair bound, but especially a veteran that's wheelchair bound, it's almost a death sentence. Because most people who join the military are people that are adventuresome. They would be right up there with Matt. You know, they would live to do what Matt does. But what's tough for them is when they become wheelchair bound, they're now restricted to their home. They're basically a prisoner of their home. And for 1 week out of every year, in the wintertime, they come here to Colorado to ski at Aspen. And Katie and I have had the opportunity now one time, and then we'll have the opportunity many, many times in our careers to go out to Aspen and spend a week with them and help them get out of their wheelchair and on skis or on snowboards, or get them behind a snowmobile just so they can go tobogganing, all that stuff. And it's just to see their smiles, to see just the tears of laughter. It's just amazing. It's something that I can't even describe to you. But on every day of the year, Kate gives 2 hours of her free time as well. And it's not just me. When we graduated from graduate school, she said, "What are you going to do with yourself?" And I said, "I'm going to make a difference somehow. I'm not sure how." And she went to work for a big multinational company, and I went to work for Uncle Sam. And she went to work to make rich people richer, and I went to work to spend their tax money. So, anyway, but what's really interesting is over time she said, wow, your work seems a whole lot more interesting to me. And now she's been with us for about 3 years too, doing the same work that I do in Denver, that I do on my own.
One of the things I loved about Pat when he talks about his work is, I would do it for nothing. It feeds my soul. It's so beautiful. Thank you, Pat. So let me ask you, how many people find it easier to give than to receive? I think we've been ingrained with that all our lives growing up, that it's a better thing to give than to receive. But I learned some valuable lessons, as did Ramona, about the fine art of receiving and how difficult that can be. But without receivers, there can be no givers. So Ramona was a successful, savvy woman who was in corporate America, doing quite well, very successful with everything that she did. And she was known as a giver. She always had been a giver all of her life. And then a series of setbacks. Many of us have experienced setbacks in a lot of different ways, but she had 3 almost at one time. She was laid off from a job that she really had expected to retire from. She lost some real estate property that she thought was going to make a difference in her life. And the biggest blow of all was that Ramona was diagnosed with cancer. And that was a really difficult thing, and it really was a hard thing for her to shift from being a giver, which she'd always been known for, to being a receiver. And her story touched me so much and made me so aware of the times that I don't receive very well, and times that I could be so much better at that. And her story is so beautiful in the many ways that she's still so generous, but she's also able to receive and let others give to her. And she's a joy to give to. I can attest to that. She's a beautiful, beautiful person. I wanted to ask everyone if you had anything you wanted to share about that experience, or anything you learned, or you wanted to share with everyone.
Thank you, Linda. I love your book. You did a great job with it. Yeah, it's been a journey that the diagnosis actually was one of the greatest things that's happened to me. Because I feel like that, and that was 2 years ago, and I feel like if I hadn't had the universal 2x4, I'm not sure I would have stopped. And we all are a doing society usually, typically that's why we grow up, and achieving and doing, and it just was, it's just been the greatest blessing, and to be so aware now of my body, both physically and emotionally, and to know that, just to be aware that to want to give all the time is sort of a control thing, where it's a power thing and a control thing when we want to give. But to receive is sort of the feminine side, and it's very interesting after being in corporate America and growing up there in the 80s that my breast cancer was the left side, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with Louise Hay and those kinds of things, but if you look at it from a spiritual standpoint, that's the feminine side and the nurturing side. So obviously I had a lot of work that I needed to do in that area, or at least that was the message that I got. And so it's been, the nurturing was, as Linda said, being able to receive, and that is very, very difficult. Being the oldest of 4, and both parents alcoholic, where I raised all the kids, and sort of my parents too. So I'm sure a lot of us, understand some of that stuff. So it's just been a real blessing, and I really appreciate you're being so interested in wanting to put it in the book. Thank you.
Actually, Ramona's story is quite beautiful. And I realize that Lily is tucked away back there, and I don't know how that happened, Lily. Can you come up here for a moment? Lily's had many incarnations, as have I. And I met Lily many years ago when I was a sales rep, and Lily Lily had a store called Paper Doll, which many of you know from Boulder. And Lily now has a store called Lily's and the Violettes. But Lily's a remarkable person. She is so kind and generous and loving, just a remarkable woman. And I got to see another part of Lily when she invited me to come to a party that she was having at Violette, and it was a fundraiser for a friend of hers. Her friend's name was Susie, and Susie was given a diagnosis of 2 years to live. 2 weeks, of course. Yes, of course. It was 2 weeks. And I walked, yes. But I walked into this, it was a very festive affair, and I walked in, and it was so celebratory. People were buying clothes and shopping, and just a great group of friends, just supporting each other and loving each other. And it was such a beautiful experience. I took some pictures, and I was like, wow, who is this remarkable person? Not only Lily was remarkable in doing this for her friend, but her friend also was a really incredible person. And Lily helped to celebrate her friend's life to the very day when she was gone. And you know, that's another huge thing that we all face, is the transition in life. And Lily did that so beautifully. You made one person's life beautiful, and it's called Celebrate Me Home. Beautiful gift. So thank you so much, and thank you for being here. Thank you.
I just want to say I feel that I was contributed to immensely in that, because can I just tell a little of the story? So I went to see my friend who ended up back in the hospital, and she had ovarian cancer, and it was at the end. She was Australian, and I walked in the room, and the doctor had just been in and said, you have 2 weeks to live. Go home and enjoy. And she had a great sense of humor, and she was sitting on the edge of her bed, and she says, comedy, I'm flat. So she did manage to live a couple more months, but what I said to her, I said, you're going to teach me how to die. And she said, yeah, let's do that. And so we planned, how do you want every minute to be? How do you want every day to be? What kind of flowers do you want? What do you want to wear? What do you want your sheets to be like? What do you want to smell? You know, what kind of music do you want? And so for those 2 months, it was just, I mean, there were many more things, but it was just a journey. So I don't feel I did anything other than just get to receive the learning and the teaching of being on that incredible adventure with a person. And it definitely shifted my life because I was with somebody who was so loving and so able to let me in and let me participate with her in that way. So that was, you know, it was truly my receiving that just was a great contribution to my life. And when you put that in the book, it was, I mean, thank you so much.
And so you're getting just a little taste of what this journey has been, and it has been so incredible. It has touched my life immensely, and just made me so much more hopeful of who's out there. I mean, it's all around us. I mean, it's people like you and me that are making the difference, that are touching people's lives. And it's so beautiful. I don't even want to go to that island anymore. I don't even care about another island somewhere I can escape to. It's just really an awesome experience. And each of you, in your own way, contribute so much. Speaking of contributing, I wanted to acknowledge Manjari, who is my book designer cover, who did such a phenomenal job. You all can agree that book cover is just the best. Just awesome, awesome job, Manjari. And thank you so much. Beautiful. And I also want to acknowledge Gary Hall, who's hiding behind his camera. Gary did the interior design for my book and had the patience of a saint. You know how perfectionistic I am. He just did a perfect and beautiful job. It was really wonderful. And he just recently did the interior for, I just did an ebook. It just came out last week. And Gary did that as well. So I just want to thank Gary and acknowledge him for the awesome job that he does. to acknowledge all of you as well. So we're going to take a 10-minute break, and I would like to invite you to step away from whoever you came with and meet someone new that you've never met before, because every one of you here is so incredible. And just to have a conversation with someone maybe that you've never, ever met. I really thank all of you for being here. We'll just take a 10-minute break, and then we'll have some music and complete that. So thank you so much.
Do a Billie Holiday song called G Baby. What makes me treat you the way that I do? G baby, ain't I good to you? There's nothing in this world too good for a guy that's good at you. G baby, ain't I good to you? Give you my money, diamond rings, big Cadillac car, everything. It's love that makes me treat you the way that I do. G baby, ain't I good to you? Makes me treat you the way that I do. G baby, ain't I good to you? There's nothing in this world too good for a guy that's good at you. Hey honey, ain't I good to you? Give me my money, diamond ring, big Cadillac car, everything. It's love that makes me treat you the way that I do. G baby, ain't I good to you? G baby, ain't I good to you? Here's